Well, thanks for visiting us this morning at KTALnews.com as well as your Weather Authority app. I'm meteorologist Josh Marces, and this is your Tuesday morning forecast update. This is the day that we've been highlighting for the last week or so with that potential for severe thunderstorms. That remains unchanged. We are likely going to see some severe weather today, especially in Texas as well as Louisiana, and most of these storms will be arriving during the afternoon hours today, as we'll have a chance to warm up here before those storms can really get going. Notice there is a slight risk for the northern Arklatex, and the risk will be slightly higher just due to the warmer temperatures that we're expecting I-20 and southward. So we're in that level 3 enhanced outlook, and that means that there will be some potentially significant severe weather here, including a few tornadoes, damaging winds. You can see at the top here will be our primary threat, but there is a decent threat to see some tornadoes, especially between, I would say, 1 and 6 p.m. this afternoon, especially across northwest Louisiana, and we'll likely see this threat of severe weather start to wind down once we get past sunset tonight. So as far as the weather today, there will be some light rain showers passing through this morning. I don't foresee much, if any, severe weather before 10 a.m. or so. So the morning commute should be in a pretty good spot here. Afternoon commute will be a different story because we expect the bulk of these storms will be arriving across the region here between 2 and 5 p.m., especially when a lot of the schools are letting out when you're driving home from work. So make sure your kids have a safe way to get home from the bus stop, or if they typically walk home from school, make sure they have a safe way to get home today. You can see on Pinpoint Doppler just a few light rain showers that have developed in that warm air out ahead of the front here, and we have warmed into the 60s overnight in most locations, so it's actually pretty humid morning as well, which you'd expect with that south wind starting to crank off the Gulf of Mexico here. But looking at the overall weather pattern, this area of low pressure and a trailing cold front here driving those storms across North Texas and Oklahoma this morning. There will be some redevelopment today, and especially once the temperatures start to warm up here, but you can definitely see that trigger for the severe storms will be this big area of low pressure, and as that kind of passes north of us today, it will kind of kick these storms into the Arklatex this afternoon. So one of the things that does make it really favorable for severe weather today, very high wind shear, but we also have plenty of warm temperatures, plenty of humidity for those storms to feed off of. So where those temperatures will be in the 70s today, that's where that severe weather threat is just a touch higher, where we're in the 60s, primarily in Oklahoma and Arkansas. The threat for tornadoes will be a little lower, but you are going to continue to see that threat of wind and maybe even some hail with those cooler temperatures in the northern Arklatex. So take a look at your Robbins Toyota Futurecast. You can see some storms coming in between 8 a.m. and noon. Those will be primarily across Oklahoma as well as northeast Texas. Very low threat that we would see anything severe here initially, but once we hit that noon hour, the temperatures are warming here and that cold front coming in, you can see the storms really start to explode between 1 and 3 p.m. today. So we're showing the front through Texarkana right around 2. Shreveport, still think you're somewhere in that 2 to 4 p.m. time frame that we'll likely see the storms there, and should see that severe weather threat ramp down or come to an end once we get to about 9, 10 o'clock tonight. But you will notice there's some additional rain that pops up here late tonight, early tomorrow morning, so I think we will carry some of this rain into Wednesday morning, but likely will dry out just after that. So I don't want to discount the potential to see some flash flooding as well. I think most locations here are still looking about half an inch to an inch of rain, but notice there are a lot of spots here where we could see a good 2 to 3 inches of rain as well. And of course, you get 3 inches of rain, just a matter of an hour or two, we could definitely see some roadway flooding. So especially for the late day commute, be mindful of that, especially in Louisiana where those storms will really get going in the mid to late afternoon today. There's a look at your 7 days. So this is the front that will kind of end this unseasonably warm weather. Will be breezy and cooler tomorrow, but we'll really start to feel that cold air once we get to Thursday and the skies clear out here. So highs will be in the 40s and 50s Thursday through the weekend, overnight lows in the 30s. Pretty good chance we'll see some freezing temperatures, at least in the northern Arklatex, late this week and into the weekend, and then some more rain arriving early next week. And kind of looking long range, it looks like this colder air will be sticking around all the way through Christmas and maybe even into New Year's as well.